So what if you could achieve a dream that feels totally impossible? Not by hustling harder, but by thinking a little weirder. We're going to unpack a story of how a fantasy became a reality in just 1 year by following a path that pretty much defies all conventional logic. Okay, so this all kicks off with a super common, super relatable fantasy. Just last year, the speaker had this big dream, hitting the road for the summer, exploring, camping, just having a huge adventure. It's a classic dream, right? Who doesn't want that? But as you can probably guess, that dream immediately slammed into a wall. A very, very familiar wall for most of us. That constant thought, that loop playing in our head was just, I need money, I need money, I need money. And that one little thought kept the dream locked up tight in Fantasyland. And so that's what happened. The dream got deferred. The financial reality just felt like a dead end, and it stopped this amazing idea cold in its tracks. She was just stuck. Now look at this. It's wild. 1 year, 2 identical dreams. The only thing that changed was the mindset. On the left, you've got the I need money focus, which led to staying home and being stressed. On the right, a totally bizarre focus on coffee led to the exact dream she wanted. So the real question is, what on earth happened in between?
Well, what changed this entire picture was a really simple, almost funny little experiment. It didn't start with some brilliant financial plan or a new high-paying job. Nope, it started with coffee.
See, the whole experiment was built on this new core belief. The idea that you should stop chasing what you want and instead start believing that it's also looking for you. It's a huge shift, right? From a mindset of lack, of I don't have it, to one of mutual attraction.
And this wasn't just some casual, abstract idea. To put this in perspective, on the morning she decided to test this out, she had exactly $1 in her bank account. 1. So you could say the financial stakes were low, but that feeling of scarcity, man, that was through the roof. So she decided to pick something small. Coffee. But here's the weird part. Instead of obsessing over how she couldn't afford a cup, she sat in her car and tried to literally feel the coffee's desire for her. She imagined coffee pulling her towards it. It sounds a little nuts, I know, but it was all about focusing on a feeling instead of an action. And the result was honestly kind of shocking. Just 2 hours after this little mental game, a friend texted her, completely out of the blue, asking if she wanted her to bring some coffee over. This one tiny success started this cascade, and for the next 4 months, she never once had to worry about having coffee. It just showed up. Now that small win with the coffee, that wasn't just about getting a free latte. It was proof of concept. It gave her the confidence to apply that same kind of weird logic to that much bigger dream of traveling all summer. Her entire approach to the problem just shifted. Instead of trying to barrel through the money problem head-on, she started focusing on creative workarounds. By zeroing in on the feeling she wanted and being open to really unconventional solutions like house sitting, the problem of money just sort of became irrelevant. And just look at how it unfolded. It wasn't one giant leap. It was a series of these small, connected, atypical steps. And that's the absolute key here. She didn't overcome the money obstacle. She just took a totally different path where that obstacle didn't even exist.
Okay, so how does this actually work? It's so easy to hear a story like this and think it's all just positive thinking, like from The Secret. But she argues that it's a much more nuanced process, and it actually avoids 2 very common and very flawed ways of thinking.
So on one hand, you've got hustle culture, right? Which is all about nonstop action, grinding, which just leads to burnout. Then on the other hand, you've got the just visualize it idea, which completely ignores the fact that you actually have to do stuff in the real world. Her experience suggests that both of these are, well, they're missing a huge piece of the puzzle. So instead, she proposes this more holistic model. It starts with ether, that's the spark of inspiration. Then you move to air, where you imagine all the possibilities. But then comes fire, and this is the part people miss. You have to take focused, motivated action. Signing up for those house-sitting websites, that was fire. And that action creates water, or flow, where things start coming to you. And finally, you get to earth, where the dream becomes a real, tangible thing. You can't just jump from imagining to having it. Okay, so if the key is taking the right kind of action, how in the world do you figure out what that is? And maybe more importantly, how do you discover what's unconsciously blocking you from taking those actions in the first place?
The tool for this is a practice she calls tracking. And you can think of it like being a detective in your own mind. You're just paying super close attention to find the hidden patterns, the unconscious stories that are actually running the show behind the scenes.
And here is why this is so critical. You can't change a computer program if you don't even know it's running. It's the same with us. We all have these deeply ingrained patterns, and until we bring them into the light and make them conscious, they're just going to keep creating the same results over and over and over again.
For instance, by tracking, you might notice that every single time you get paid, your whole body tenses up with worry about all the bills. That physical reaction, that unconscious story, that's the gunk in your system. It's blocking the feeling of flow even when money is literally flowing in. Tracking makes that gunk visible so you can finally clean it out.
So this whole thing brings us to probably the most important question we can ask ourselves. Forget about the coffee and the road trip for a minute and just ask yourself this. What unconscious story, what hidden program is shaping your reality right now?